how many of you are very familiar with your local fast food joints, if you will? The local delicacies, either the fish or the chicken that you eat by the corner. Some of these companies need to be spread across Africa, and that is an opportunity that we need to take seriously.
I think education is very important, which is what Nick is doing.
But the only thing is, when we're going into these bilateral agreements, we need to make sure that they actually serve our purpose.
The U.S. government will provide enabling mechanisms to catalyze business in the private sector for transactions that the private sector would not engage in on their own.
I found out during this event that PwC in the UK has 200 people who are full-time working on China-UK investments. I mean, to me, it's incredible, right? That there are 200 people who are full-time, sitting in London and other places in the UK, who are only working on China-UK investments. And in Africa, actually, I'm really the only one, and I'm not even, I mean, we don't have any full-time people working on China-Africa investments.
Daring projects, and capital has been a problem, funding has been a problem. Yes, I mean, we all depend, all the states in the country, we all depend on the federal government for allocation to do all the things we need to do. So, and we have staff to pay, salaries to pay, all that to pay. So infrastructure suffer. So you find that a lot of governors just do the bare minimum and they just carry on until the next government comes in. But my governor is a daring governor. He has a big heart. He's very courageous. He's very ambitious. So he goes on thinking about very big projects, you know, projects for the next generation.
As part of the efforts to attract investments that speak to Nigeria's sustainable development goals, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari implemented several reforms in its first term. These reforms caused Nigeria to move 25 steps upwards in the World Bank Doing Business Index between 2016 and 2018.
Well, we have a lot of homework to do. We have to create the environment that will attract investment. I mean, investment finds opportunities for itself. Nobody's going to invest in an environment in which they're not sure about the return, they're not sure that they'll get their investment back, they're not sure about that the environment is conducive.
We adopt a China strategy in terms of job opportunities, which means out of the 85 million jobs that China is going to relocate, many of those jobs are not necessarily jobs that will be replaced by technology anytime soon.
The PRO initiative, the idea is very big. So everybody heard about it 5 or 6 years ago when our President Xi Jinping came to the power. And he's the person to propose this initiative. At that time, nobody to understand what's that. So we used 5 years. Even in China, we use 5 years try to understand what our head to see.
Yeah, so helping entrepreneurs, we obviously support them with the strategy that we just talked about, global capital strategy. We take them on roadshows, so we're going to be organizing a roadshow just in 2 weeks from now.
Today is a great day for me and for us, for Cross River. My governor, as you know him, we call him the digital governor. Because, yes, if you see Cross River, if you know Cross River and you see him talk, you know he is the digital governor.
It's a huge economy. we have factors that are attractive by themselves. Huge population, huge land mass, arable land. You hear all these things, mineral resources, we have oil and gas, we have... why aren't they being tapped? Because there are risks, and those risks outweigh the opportunity.
Well, I think it's always good to have a forum that looks at different forms of capital. Clearly, there's a big shortage of capital in Africa and in Nigeria, so the more we discuss ways of bringing that capital in, the better. So it's good.
What Nick is trying to do, particularly at this point in time, is very critical. Creating a strategy around capital, particularly capital flow into Nigeria. I don't think we've had it rough as we've had it in the last few years in terms of foreign direct investment.
But the less discussed one, I think, which really struck us in Lagos is the failure of most Nigerian businesses to expand beyond our shores, indeed very often beyond a city. If you speak to a young business in most countries in the world, at least on the North and South America, in Asia, within 3 to 5 years they've expanded to several countries, several cities, and I think that's sort of a key to one of the big keys to growth.
Well, I know one of the greatest things an investor will want in anywhere, first of all, is security of his or her investment. So if we have an enabling environment in terms of security, and it will breed confidence. So investor first and investor look for is security in terms of lives and property, security, using policies to be able to secure whatever investment they are bringing in. So that's what we should need. Once we have an enabling environment, investment will always come.
The inspiration is, I feel very passionate about supporting entrepreneurs, supporting businesses across Africa. Looking at the businesses across Africa, we figure out that a lot of them have challenges in terms of how to raise capital. Now, I looked at capital again and figured out that in order to raise capital, you need to have a strategy. So I came up with the concept of global capital strategy. So how do you actually build a strategy that will attract capital or global capital to you? And global capital simply means the capital that's available from international sources. The China strategy that I refer to is how to get the Africans to partner with Chinese industries in order for us to shift manufacturing from China to Africa.